Hey guys, it's Tamer, and I'm going to show you guys how to apply SandBox pattern inside your games, applications, or websites that you want to build. So what the SandBox pattern does is if you have a game that has a lot of characters and all the characters can like say run, jump, etc., etc., right? You wouldn't want to make a method for each individual character for their own running ability or jumping ability, since each character has a different running ability and jumping ability, right? Because that would just be inefficient and ineffective. So what we would do instead is we would just make one method and we would call it jump, and then we would only make one method for running and call it run, and all of your characters inside the game would use these methods. But I'll show you how to make different variances of these methods. So for each character, they will have their own definition of the jump and run method. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the diagram and explain it to you guys on how it works. So for the sandbox pattern, we have the parent class called speedability, and inside speedability, we're going to define our methods. So in this case, we're dealing with sprint and jump. Our character is going to sprint and jump. So instead of having to make a whole bunch of different sprint classes for each characters we have, we're going to make one for sprint, and we're going to have one for jump. But this is how it works. So as you can see, we have two types of jumps. We have a half jump for characters that can jump the highest, and then we have a full jump for characters that can jump really high. Okay? And they're both calling the same function, jump. Half jump, full jump. And then now if we look at the sprint, our guy has the ability to do a half sprint if he's really slow. But if we have another character and he's really fast, then we're going to call a full sprint. And as you can see, we're still using the same method, sprint, sprint, from the parent class. So these are the children classes of the main parent class. And this is how we're able to make the sandbox pattern. And this is the quick overview diagram of it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how the game works to get a better understanding of it. Okay, so this is our character, and we're going to show you his different variations of sprint. So A is a half sprint, it's really slow, right? But then when we press S, we have a full sprint, it's really fast, right? A, slow, fast. We're only using the same method too. But we're getting different variations. And for jump, we're only using one method, but we're getting different variations. As you can see, when I press D, he can't really jump that high. But when we press F, he jumps pretty high in the air, to be honest. Okay, so the sandbox pattern lets us make sure our code is very organized and make sure that it's very clean and efficient and effective on our processor. So we don't have to keep rewriting the same code over and over again for each character and their variations. We only need one method. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the code now. So this is our code. As you can see from the previous diagram, we have athletic ability with our two main methods, jump and then sprint, using an abstract class. Inside these two methods, we want to define how our player jumps. So we're going to grab the enemy by a tag, and then we're going to add force vertically to push him into the air. And then for sprint, we're going to define what makes him sprint. Then we're going to grab enemy with tag. Usain Bolt is our character's name. And then we're going to go ahead and apply how much forward you want to transform him. Okay. And as you can see, there's these parameters that we're using, right? And these are how we're able to make different variations of jump. So if you call this method and say jump with the parameter of 2, our guy will only jump 2 into the air. If you say jump with a parameter 5, he'll only jump 5 in the air. So this is why we use our child classes. As you can see, if we went into full sprint, we're calling activate. We're inheriting this function from our main parent class right here, an abstract. And then inside here, we're calling sprint, which is in the parent class again. As you can see, sprint, and then we're saying sprint 4 for a full sprint. And for a half sprint, we're saying sprint 1. This is the full sprint again. And then this is the half sprint. So you're only sprinting with 1 for the half sprint, and then for a full sprint, you're only with 4. Okay? And they're both inheriting from athletic ability. And as you can see, if you go to half jump, same thing. We're using the activate method, and then inside here, we're going and calling the jump with a 4 for the half jump. And then for a full jump, we're going ahead and calling jump 10, which is the full jump. And you can see they're both inheriting from athletic ability. So when we call the different variations of jump and sprint, you can see that the parameters get passed down into these. And that's how we're able to get different variations of the same method. It's by making those child classes. And we're going to go ahead and get into the game controller. And here, this is where we instantiated our child classes: half sprint, full sprint, the full jump, and the half jump. We put our key downs inside the update. For anyone that didn't know what the update does, the update makes sure that there's a continuous loop that checks for anything every second in Unity. And we're checking every second if a player hits A, or if a player hits S, if a player hits D, or if a player hits F. If a player hits any of these, we're going to go ahead and call the child class function activate. So if you hit A, we're going to go ahead and hit a half sprint activate. And from previous in the video, you can see the half sprint activate call sprint from the main class with 1, which is a half sprint. And as you can see, if you hit S, you get a full sprint activate. So instead of 1, a full sprint is going to end up being 4. That's fast. And then if you hit D, you're going to do a half jump activate, which is a jump of 4. But then when you hit full jump activate, you're going to see that the jump is a lot more higher than the other one. And every time we hit these keys, we're going to this activate, and the activate's calling the sprint. And then after we call the sprint, it goes in here and takes that parameter, and whatever that parameter is, we put it in here, and our player moves forward that many times. And same with the jump. We're taking that parameter vertical, and then we're putting in here, and that's how we're able to have different variations of jump and sprint. And I'm going to pull up the diagram again for you guys so you guys can get a better overview of how this is working. So again, there's 4 child classes, 1 main parent, and in the parent is where we're defining inside this abstract class what 2 methods we want to have variations of. And for each method, we have 2 variations. For sprint, we have a half sprint, a full sprint, and then for jump, we have a half jump and a full jump. And inside our child classes, it's how we're able to differentiate the different types of variations we want to use. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the game again. So as you can see, when you press A, you get a half sprint. And then when you press S, you get a full sprint. It's a lot more faster. And for B, a half jump. Then when you press F, you get a full jump. You can double tap jump and you can go flying into the air if you want. Oh, there's a guy, he's right there. Woo! Yup. Still landing too. Still wobbling. And yeah, so this was the sandbox pattern. It's pretty cool, right? Using this pattern can make your team not have to deal with a whole bunch of unorganized code. Since if you're making a game and making and dealing with a lot of characters, you want to make a method for each individual character. So this is when this pattern can come in handy for your team. Or if you're working solo, you wouldn't have to worry about having to remember how you coded a certain type of thing. Object-oriented programming and using the sandbox pattern lets us make sure that we keep our code really clean, efficient, and effective, and make sure that we're able to use our processor as efficient as possible as well. If you guys have any questions about how to apply the sandbox pattern, please feel free to let me know in the comments, and or you can simply just email me here at tamerayubbusiness@gmail.com on the screen. If you want to subscribe, you can continue to receive more updates whenever I drop content on new patterns or anything code related. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. But for now, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys later. Everybody have a nice night. We'll see you guys in the next one.